Lights on. Wait for lady.
This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to call this meeting to order on October 12th at 12:30. Randy Dalkey is going to be a little late, so I'm going to take over for him, Dave Crowfoot. And the first thing is any public comments. Don't see anything on the screen. Is anybody else?
I'm still logging in. I don't see anybody. See anybody?
Yeah, we don't see anybody. We'll move on to,
Wait a minute. I can't. Well, that's a nice way
are you waiting a minute for me or somebody else?
to. All right, we'd probably better make sure that they can get on, because if I can't get on, that means they can't get on. And then we'll be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, just start getting phone calls.
Says people can see your screen.
Not sure which login.
The newspaper's not there yet.
Yeah, they're not there, so you know it's not.
The first phone call.
Then we walking in the door here.
Phone call. I figure you're following Randy's first, but he's not here.
Yeah, I don't see the hallway on there either.
Yeah, it might be that you're in a different room. It might be off by a number or digit, or
So should I just get out of this and
get
start
out
over?
and click back the link that's on the blue link that's on the agenda.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Actually, just open up the agenda again. Okay. There's two different links, one's for executive. Yeah. Everybody else is there but the commission now.
There we go.
There you are.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're going to try this again. We're back in session. We had miscommunications. So, we're back. Is there any public comments? For the public? We don't see any right yet. Is that correct?
I don't see
I
any.
don't see anything.
Randy, do you want to take over?
Okay, all right.
All we did was public comments.
All right.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, technical difficulties. Agenda approval. Anybody got anything to add? I do have something under road and bridge that I'd like to discuss about a bridge, possibility of a bridge down the south end. Customers called it, so I'll put that under Bryce. Anything else? Anybody have anything? Okay. with that, we'll go ahead and move into administrative business then.
I have the minutes of October 4th.
Move to approve minutes of October 4th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kent Becker. Motion by Dave Mueller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I was not here, so I'll abstain, 4-1.
Okay, then we had some early checks.
One of them's ambulance building, $117,285.30. County General,
And that's for the park, the dock. heated dock.
oh, for the dock, okay. For the heated dock for $79,785. Do I hear a motion to approve that or any discussion?
I'll move to approve those.
Okay, Dave Crowfoot moves to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
We do the second one. We need both of them.
Yeah, I just motion to approve the checks.
Okay.
Yep. Your box is getting crossed off. Uh-oh.
You have sheets.
And then I need to have an executive session for personnel hiring for 5 minutes.
Okay, can we do that down here at the end of the meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
What was that on?
That's,
Personnel hiring.
Is the very end after commission comments and all that? That way she only has to click out once.
yeah. We talking down here at the bottom, or are you
All
talking?
the way to the bottom. That way she gets out of the meeting.
Okay.
All the public and
Yeah,
bids if they
there's-
want to.
If
Not
there's
have
some
to log back
discussion,
in.
if there's some discussion,
Yeah.
if there's something done, I don't know what's gonna be done, but, we need to be in the public case we do. Yeah, so, after the personnel discussion with executive session, by the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
commission will put it underneath there.
We already have one.
Yeah. I don't know, who's that one?
I think that's for road and bridge maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we'd have a second one with you. Okay. That's number one. Number two would be second with the deputy clerk?
Yep.
Clerk. Deputy clerk.
Clerk today.
Just clerk, okay. Okay, we'll do that.
Acting clerk.
Acting clerk. All right, so that takes all of your administrative business?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll move into Travis versus EMS, Department of Business.
Good afternoon.
Yes, it is a good afternoon.
What's up?
And you just keep making it better, right?
Hey, there you go. Just a couple things I'd like to touch base on today. One of them being employee benefit hours. I kind of brought that up a little bit hastily in the past. I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to review a proposed hour change for sick time and vacation based on a 24-hour work period. Again, industry standard being 12 hours. I know a lot of places increase that after 5 years, 10 years, so on. I'm not looking at that at this point. I really think the 12 hours is sufficient. Again, that's industry standard for sick leave and vacation. And in turn, adding the amount of hours they can carry. I guess I would ask the commission's approval to move forward, working with the clerk on getting those hours how we want that to look.
So, I'd like some discussion on that. How's that come out then? Is it still back to what you suggested the other day, that they would get their total of that, or just what we have? You suggested the other day if we move forward, it would, the standard, industry standard would allow them quite a few hours.
That would get 360 hours would be what they could carry total. And currently, I believe the 40-hour worker can carry 160 hours. That giving them 20 days off. At 360, we get 15. The 24-hour person gets 15, so they could carry 15 days off versus 20 for a 40-hour worker.
When you say carry,
Max, your max
the
amount of.
maximum amount.
Yes.
Carry forward from year to year.
Yeah. The total accrued amount would be 360 hours or 15 days versus 160 hours for the 40-hour or for an 8-hour worker.
So what is
That
it
comes
now?
with 20. They're currently getting the same as an 8-hour worker.
You get 20 days.
Well, no.
No,
They would get 144. They could carry, what did I say,
160.
160 divided by 24.
You're dividing hours by 24.
Yeah, for them to take a day off is 24 hours. It costs them 24 hours of vacation to take 1 day off.
So they'll be losing 5 days of vacation a year. And the regular employee gets 20 days and they're gonna get 15.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at simple math.
But they
Sure.
don't- But they don't have a 5-day work week,
Yeah.
correct.
so.
Would this require a policy change to deviate from where we were at?
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be written in stone and that.
And you're just looking for approval to work toward a program.
Well, I think it wouldn't take much to sit down with Tina or whomever and draw this up on a 12-hour a month cycle.
Probably Brad would have to be involved if it's a policy change.
And I can get you a copy of a current policy too from other places, that's not a problem. Like I said, I was aware of this when I came in, I just simply couldn't do it because we didn't have the staff. If we allowed that kind of vacation time, then it was gonna cost us overtime. At this point, we have the staff, if somebody's gone, I don't have to hire anybody back. They can take the time off that they're earning.
Okay.
You stated going forward, if we don't do that, it's gonna be a real detriment to any hiring.
I certainly think that I've had one prospective employee that has still kind of kept in contact with me to see what has changed on that front. So it happens to be a Wichita fireman that understands working a 24-hour shift and understood it, so.
24-hour shifts was, give me the reason why everybody went to them.
That's a good question. Well,
Because in
You
the
want-
last
you-
10 to 15 years,
It takes less people.
it's come,
it,
a lot of places have
Yeah.
went to different.
sure, I understand.
Yeah.
In the,
When they take
honestly,
less people.
I think it's,
When they take less people.
That's one reason.
but I think, well, how do I say?
guarantees the only.
I think, well, you have to have somebody 24-hour coverage,
Yes,
right? So you
yes.
understand that.
Yes.
But the reason we don't work like 10-14s or something like that is pay differential. If working 24 hours, you're actually gonna hire them cheaper. You can pay them less per hour, but work them more hours.
Yeah,
And-
less overlap.
Yeah, and it's actually more cost effective. I mean, I'm not proud to say that. I worked 24-hour shift for a long time, but I believe that's truly a lot of it.
Yeah. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, I could definitely see where, so if 160 hours is 4 weeks off for a regular employee, then 192 would be 4 weeks off for an EMS. Right, because they're only working 40, they work 48 hours a week?
They either work 48 or 72 a week.
Okay.
They work 240. Depends on how the month falls,
Right.
but they can work.
I'm just trying to keep it.
I understand what you're.
If one employee uses every bit of vacation, they get 4 weeks off. How much vacation does it take for an EMS person to get 4 weeks off?
240.
That's 360.
10 days. They work anywhere from 9 to 11 days a month. 4 weeks. I mean, I'm just ballparking here.
Well, I mean,
It's
I'm
240 hours.
Time off is time off, so I mean, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to keep things fair in my head.
A max would be 240. John would get a month off.
But this is industry standards.
12 hours.
It's
Well,
360.
the 360, most places I'm aware of, yes, that is.
That's who we be competing against
Sure.
if somebody's
If-
coming or leaving.
Other places that are working 24-hour shift, you know, there's some working 12s. It takes more people, it takes more money.
And so, if a person takes a day off
Mhm.
on a shift,
Correct.
you have to find another person to fill that shift.
No, sir.
You have a spare.
I have a supervisor
Right.
and 2 ambulances. So I have 5 people working a day. If somebody takes vacation, we don't have a supervisor that day, but we still staff 2 ambulances.
Somebody has to fill that spot that day they take off, right? Somebody has to, whether it's a supervisor
Sure.
or another person.
Yes, but I
To
don't
keep
hire.
2 ambulances running.
But I don't hire anybody, it's not
Right.
overtime. Correct, I
Right.
don't hire anybody back.
Right.
Doesn't cost the county
Doesn't
any
cost
money.
you anything, yeah, as far as overtime.
It just changes the job description of what that person's doing that day. Like your supervisors goes to,
It is gonna be responding on ambulance, absolutely.
and so you have to have at least one of your supervisors, when a person requests time off, has to be available on that day. Okay, I request time off. One of my ambulance people one ambulance requested Saturday off.
Okay,
So you have to have a supervisor that's working that Saturday
sure,
to fill in that day.
which I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you have,
if I have more than one person
so how
going,
many supervisors do you have now?
1 for each shift, A, B, and C.
Okay. You got 3?
Yeah, 3 supervisors, 1 on A, 1 on B, 1 on C.
Okay.
5 people total. Minimum staff is 4. That's to staff 2 ambulances, takes 4 people.
Are your people salaried? Or is
They're hourly.
every hour over 40 is
Correct.
time?
Correct.
So the supervisors get overtime when somebody takes off? They fill that shift? No?
No.
The supervisor.
They simply get out of the SUV and move into the ambulance. Their pay does not change. They're not paid additional as supervisors. The pay is exactly the same.
He's already there, he just has to change
So,
to a different
Just
chair.
move to a different vehicle.
well, I'm just thinking, if they're working 72 some weeks, that's a lot of overtime.
Sure.
When you're working, you get 8 hours of overtime every week. And then some weeks you get a 72. So there's always overtime out of that
Yes.
department.
Yes.
Always.
No matter, that's on not on your supervisors too?
Correct. That, nothing changed as far as classification on the supervisor, just my expectations of them and what they assist me with.
Does everybody understand it?
Well, by doing this, would that eliminate the overtime?
No.
No, would eliminate any
Doesn't,
overtime.
doesn't increase or decrease over time.
It's just getting this in line with the rest of the world. Kind of, it's a question.
Yeah.
The only thing it does is allows an employee from the county, which I don't know. What does the sheriff's office do over here? Do you happen to know? How do they work 24s too?
No, they just work 8-hour shifts, I think, don't
They work 12.
12s. They're working 12s. And they're not getting no more days vacation than anybody else, are they?
they? They must be getting less vacation. We're cutting down to 15 days. Everybody else is getting 20 if we go with this system.
That's all they'll get is 15 days?
That's all they can carry.
That would be the maximum allowed, would be 15 days off. And Jonah posed the question to a month, which would be 10 days off if we maxed it at 240.
Yeah.
This is what they can carry forward.
Sure.
I was like, use it or lose it.
Right.
I don't have it clear in my head.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you I don't have.
Sure.
And my main reason why is I want to make sure that we stay in line with the county policies. And that's my only reason for even questioning it.
That's why I think that, you know, if we had a draft policy, then we can dissect that.
Or let Travis work with them and.
Sure.
Yeah. Right, work with Tina or Brad, or whoever, however that's gonna work, to get us a draft policy put in front of us, we can take a better look at it.
Jonah?
It's hard with the EMS because they got certifications and classifications that aren't, so I mean, comparing them to a different department isn't really fair to them, but then it isn't really fair to the other departments for them to get potentially 6 weeks off.
How you do that?
Because a normal person works 8-hour day, gets 40 hours a week,
But they can't carry forward.
but then their 40 hours carries to 160, so they only get 4 weeks off, max. And so they could potentially be getting 5 to 6 weeks off on EMS.
From actual work, they're getting 360 is where the number comes at 15 days.
Correct.
At 24 hours a day, that comes to 360, so they're actually getting 360 hours off.
Yeah, and yeah, bare bones of it all is,
And they're also working 24 hours versus 8. I mean,
But another reason why people's went to 12s and 24s and all this shift changes from 8 hours a day, 5 days a week is, one, it may be less employees, but number two, it's the employee morale, happiness. I mean, I can just see a 4-day, I can relate to the first 4-day work week of 10 hours a day. And those guys love it because they got the extra day a week off. So,
but they still only get 40 hours off per
so
week.
they still only get 40, yeah, that's all they got was 40 off, and it stayed with that, but the extra time off was, and that's why this job is appealing as the 24-hour shift. I mean, 15, it's so appealing that, you know, you get so much extra time off.
What, I think we're just all a little gun shy
Yeah.
too, because of the pay, because the pay plan, some other issues that came about from that, and it's not your
Okay.
department.
okay.
Yeah.
But you throw a rock in the water, the ripples are gonna go, and
Sure.
we gotta treading a little lightly here.
Plus, we've also set precedent on allowing the employees to carry vacation over, you know, they didn't get it done. Okay, they've come into us and we've extended them. So we've set precedent on that.
And I personally would like to see that never happen again. I mean, that's just, you get from January, if we ever get it to January 1st to December 31st, you've got that time to get your vacation in.
Yeah. But, you know, we run into issues with some of the
We're gonna take
departments
December off
that,
then.
Yeah.
you know, we're short.
We run into
And
that.
then so those people have to work, and that's why I don't blame them.
Yeah.
You can't blame them.
Very true.
And it does.
I think the board's willing to see a draft policy out in front of them. Dave Mueller, I haven't heard too much here.
No, we'll stay with you, but the EMS service is unique. The wage, the hourly schedule is unique. I'd like to see some more investigation into it with Travis working with Tina and with Brad, as Kent and Joe, I think, both suggested. So I don't want to stop it. I want it to at least move forward into the next phase.
Yeah, okay.
So we can explore, and I think that's actually where Travis started today, was permission to work
Yeah.
with Tina and Brad to come up.
We went on deeper.
Yeah.
So I think we circled back to where we started.
And I think maybe X's and O's, so that,
And then next time, bring in a picture.
yeah.
Or use the
that's
Well,
X's and O's.
we're-
Yeah.
And the reality, I've seen handbooks. This is the first you've had people working 24 hours at a time for this county. There are handbooks that are written because they have people that work 8s, 12s, and 24s, and they try and make it as equal as they can. It's never gonna be the same, but our job descriptions aren't the same.
Right.
No two job descriptions.
Do
So,
you guys like 24-hour shifts?
sure. I wouldn't like the shift they're working, but I'm not working it, so. I mean, they're on one day off too, back, you know.
It's like everything else, you get used to it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every other one, and
Well, I
then
mean,
4 days
like you
off.
see in Wichita, it wouldn't work because
Sure.
they're always out.
Yeah.
They're never in the
And-
house.
Sure, well, some
Here,
stations,
we're
they're
we're home
different.
sometimes.
Yeah, they're different, and on the station they're
Yeah,
at.
the volume.
Mhm. They've got slow stations and busy ones, but
General consensus then is that I'm hearing is, we'd like to explore it, go ahead and see it written out a little farther and see exactly what it pertains and how it affects everybody and see, you know, we're willing to listen to Travis.
Okay.
Just see what it does, see how we gotta understand. I mean, it's one of them things. I don't think that if we mentioned going back to 12s, they probably wouldn't, a lot of people probably
I
upset.
think that'd be cost prohibitive for us.
Yeah, but there'd be more people involved.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we may look at that and see what it would take, you know, just the cost wise.
Right.
How many more people we have to employ, stuff like that, so we may sell something that way too.
Sure.
Okay,
All right.
go ahead.
Commissioner Dahlke we had talked about the concrete over at the Hillsborough station. It seems that the standard on commercial structures is a 1-year warranty on concrete finish, that kind of thing. We're gonna have 2 years on where they're gonna be epoxying that with concrete, and the top seal will have a 2-year warranty. So I did wanna get that clarified for you.
I visited that place this morning.
Uh-huh.
And last week, 2 weeks ago, I saw them before I left. They was sanding it, and I guess they're gonna come back in and re-sand it again, and then apply. Now, are they gonna apply that to the whole building then? Is
That
it-
will just be the truck room.
Truck room?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, where that delam happened. The finished floor of the living space is polished concrete,
Okay.
so, we wouldn't want any finish on there. There will be a finish, it'll be a sealer, but it'll be clear.
So 2 years on epoxy only, or 2 years total on concrete?
I believe, in the truck room, 2 years concrete, epoxy both. I think in our living space, it's the 1 year that you get with general commercial construction.
The reason being is we know that there's been some defects already, and we don't see them yet in the living quarters. So
Sure.
what happens if they pop up a year and a half from now?
Understood, and I think, I think you're gonna, it's something we're to develop, it's gonna happen when we're
Quicker.
polishing
Okay.
that. Just by how they do
Okay.
it,
Yeah.
I think it would show up then, and
Okay.
we'll sure catch it, so.
All right. Does every commissioner understand? Accept?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
their mistake, they're giving you an extra year.
Right. Yeah, and gonna be looking at some samples on that. Fit and finish of the station are kind of where we're at, kind of in a holding pattern on insulation. We can't skin the building without insulation. It's kind of unknown the status of that insulation. 2 weeks, 4 weeks before we see that. So it's a lot like everything else.
Wow.
You don't know when you're gonna get material.
Yeah.
So, that'll put us behind a little bit, for sure. We've made some changes, with finishes, as far as, the flooring. We've steered away from carpet, things like that. It's actually cheaper to polish the concrete, so saving some money there. Countertops, things like that, we're trying to save money, to stay in budget. And with that, we have an added expense for ventilation in the, what I call the truck room, where we store the ambulances. Has to be a CO detector system that ventilates when it detects CO. So that's upward of $8,000. But again, I'm trying my hardest to see if we can find that money, save that money somewhere. There are other options within my budget, places to find that money. It's something we may have to look at.
So this has been brought about by the city inspector?
Yeah, there was some code terminology maybe that the information I was given that we needed it based on a parking garage.
Is this the first building in Hillsborough, Kansas that will have that?
Tabor Gulch has it there. After I talked to Travis, I started digging around, and our tennis facility has it. So it's stale occupant, changing of personnel, people, nobody knows what the last person really did in there, that kind of thing.
But there is no parking inside that tennis building. That's a person building and we're getting charged here because it's a parking facility.
Yeah.
Even though you don't leave the vehicles running?
We tend not to. Yes, no, we have no intention of running vehicles inside.
Because you have,
You wanna let Matt speak to that? He's
Oh,
on there.
he's on there? Yeah. Yeah, if Matt's on here, why, yeah, that'd be fine. If Matt wants to speak to this deal, why, yeah, I would accept that. Yes, can you hear Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
A little muffled. Hang on a second, it is a little muffled, we'll see if we can clear it up a little bit. I'll try Matt, see if that did anything.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We're good?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so the issue is the classification of building, public versus private. We felt that means what the code defines that as is, private garage is basically the garage you would think of your home and dwelling, and anything else pretty well in a public setting. And so we have the code defined that as requiring mechanical ventilation in this case, or enclosed parking garage. It's a life safety issue. There is that if you were to have it running, even though that's not something to do, you were to have that running, triggers the ventilation and that out to the property or out of the garage. It's part of the code. It's part of the 2012 International Building Code, which is what we operate under. So, it's one of those things. It's unfortunate that it came up at this point in the project, but it's going to be required based on the type of building that is.
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
I mean, can we get a variance, is one, and number two, it's not public parking. We're parking the county vehicles in those, and it's not gonna be available for public to park in those spots, ever.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's
private county parking.
It's not technically private in the definition of what the code defines as private. Pretty much anything that's not a residential garage is considered a public area. So it does fall under the public definition. And yes, you could seek a variance for that. We've got a process for it, but you know, I don't know what the timeline is going to be for you guys as far as doing it. It sounds like you may have some more opportunity to do that since the insulation of the building isn't there. But if you wanted to, you could seek a variance for it.
Matt, let me ask you this. There's been a lot of buildings built for container services out there in the last couple years, a few years. Does any of them have it in it?
I believe they do have mechanical ventilation, but I can't speak to what's actually there.
Because that's not public, it's a business, just like what we're talking about.
Correct. Yeah, you would fall under the same definition.
Well, I guess,
The city council do this, or would it go through the zoning committee?
It would have to go through the planning, Board of Zoning Appeals
How often do they meet?
as needed. There's a publication process with that, so you have to file the variance, and we have to notify everyone within a certain distance, and there's publication requirements and time to wait, and then the Board of Zoning Appeals would hear that on that time schedule, so they meet as needed.
could you just email the city county clerk so she can get us a copy of the rule you're going under so we can see it?
Sure. Yeah, I've provided that. That's no problem.
I mean, the city's our neighbor.
Yeah, but you also have neighbors across the street too. It's within 200 feet, I believe.
When I said the city's on, there is nobody.
Yeah.
Across the street.
Across the street, and south, you have some people.
There's just houses along
There's a bunch of houses.
200 feet.
So who's responsible to know exactly what the zoning is going forward? I mean, we don't have an engineer. Does that fall on our general contractor? I mean, should they have known that going in? I mean, to me, if you're a contractor and engineer, you go build a building in a city, I would think you'd go get the zoning ordinances before you ever started.
Was
there.
our-
And I believe
Okay.
Matt's maybe trying to answer
Yeah.
to
Okay,
that,
sorry.
but I can't.
Yeah. Was our building plan okay to go into the whole start, to the start? Was it okay by the city of Hillsborough?
We had a permit approval. Yeah, we had an architect draw things up, means of egress, things of that nature,
Okay.
was stamped, and we started construction.
Yeah. I just wonder if it was approved by the city of Hillsborough.
Yes, sir.
There's no mechanical, electrical, or plumbing drawings on that.
Those things were not
To
permit those.
Matt, we're having, for some reason, it's still a lot of growl to your, I don't know what's causing that, but,
If you want to shut your mic off, Matt, you could call me and then I can put you on speaker. That might fix it.
Okay, that'd be fine.
The internet connection's not good. Sure it's not good for the Tri-County thing. Is it online now?
And then there's, sorry while we wait, but there's one more item. It's my understanding, once our building's constructed, then the fire chief of Hillsborough goes in with a portable radio and tries to talk to dispatch. And if he's unable to get out, we have to buy a pass-through antenna, which
That's
is
way worse than this.
it's $10,000 or so.
Yeah, we had to do it
So-
in Tabor.
We don't know that until construction's complete.
Do you leave the doors open?
But with our sprinkler system, we shouldn't need
Might have to shut
Somebody
your
gets through.
speaker off too.
Matt.
Yeah, I've got it shut off. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a lot better.
Okay.
Can Dave Mueller?
Yes, it's a lot better.
And the clerk?
Yes.
Yes, everybody can hear you. Travis?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody can hear you, Matt.
Okay. So typically when we have a plan like this submitted, we would get something called code footprint that would come with it, with the mechanical and the electrical and all the engineering parts that would come typically from an architect. And I don't think in this project we have all of that stuff.
Okay.
So we had a conversation with the builder of Nelson Fowles, I think
Yes.
the builder, right? And said, you know, like, we're willing to work with you on this and make sure that we're moving forward, you know, making sure that this building gets built. You know, we're gonna try to clue you in on everything that we know about, but you know, there's some things sometimes come up like this, and so it's one of those things that if it would have been fully engineered and fully architect, full set of plans, we probably could have caught it beforehand, but it's just that wasn't the case with this project.
Okay.
Typically, from my experience, if you've got all those drawings and the building inspector stamps it, approves it, and there's something that's missing, they can't go back on it.
Right, correct.
But
Right.
since those don't exist, it was all design build beyond the floor plan.
But we probably saved the money, several $1,000s by not having those engineering
Exactly.
designs,
Yeah.
mechanical, electrical.
Yeah.
Because that's the highest price part of the engineering,
10% or better.
so it might be money ahead.
Yeah, and I had to order I mean, they did the framework, it's already all there for the
Yeah.
ventilation system. The challenge is the automaticity of the CO detector. You know, I'm not against having ventilation in the building. Every building I've been in, that I've worked in, has some sort of ventilation. Again, the automaticity based on a public parking garage was my challenge to that. And then, I mean, we'll have to agree to disagree, and that's, it's the money spent. I just find it unfortunate that we're being classified as a public parking garage. And I certainly don't want to come in and try and hire a parking attendant. You guys might look at me funny, but,
Come home some nights, somebody's in your spot.
yeah.
Do we know if there's any other potential issues that could arise from
There's
zoning?
that fire alarm, or that fire.
The strength suppression system.
Well, that was one, but then there's
The radio system.
the radio
Oh, yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's.
radio system.
And you know, it's interesting, I'm not a radio expert, but it seems if you would put a repeater, a mobile repeater in a truck for a couple $1,000s, then you could talk out buildings easier, but I don't have them in my ambulance, but that'd be one way of handling that, so.
Well, if the radios don't work for the fire department, that's a problem for us too, right?
Sure.
They're same.
Sure, we will have a base radio. In fact, I'll probably bring, I'd like to spend that money here before the end of the year, on 2 more mobile radios that I will mount in the stations. I've had to take the one out of here to put in my car, but that allows, with an external antenna, for us to get pages, be informed by dispatch, rather than counting on these.
Gotcha.
So.
This brings something up. I don't know where the we've always said we have a mobile setup in Hillsborough for dispatch in case Marion goes out. So, I don't know I've never seen it.
Isn't that
The red trailer.
yeah, it's tucked away.
Well,
I thought that was
is that it? That could be it. I was just
That's
saying
the way
that
I've
if
interpreted
we
it.
had the equipment for a second setup, maybe it's time to go into that building with it so that maybe it would repeat off of that. Maybe that would help in case we do run across this problem.
Yeah, I believe the intent of Hillsborough is so that their firemen, if they're inside
Yes.
fighting a fire, is that they can talk to I guess talk to Marion, because on talk around they should be able to get out to the outside, but I think they want to talk to dispatch while fighting fire in a structure, or call Mayday, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, but with our suppression system, let's hope we never, we have sprinklers. We shouldn't need firemen.
And it does seem to
Come put it
affect,
out.
we've heard other buildings, metal buildings seem to affect these radios. that
Correct.
We have, yes.
Yes, sir.
And I can't remember, do we have suppression in Marion?
We do not.
So, that's another question.
Yeah.
If you're in the county.
If we're doing it in one center, I think we have to do it in both.
City, aren't you in the county out there?
No, I'm in city
You're in
limits.
city limits?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Barely.
That's another question that could arise, very true. Bill?
And I'd be happy to get some numbers from the guys that are doing the spring. And that classification building, you can use residential, for fire suppression, residential fire sprinkler system.
Yeah, well,
It's PEX and some.
I'm thinking, you know, not so much whether we have to,
Mhm.
but
should we?
is it right to have it in one and not in the other?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you stay in a motel, you have a sprinkler. So it's not a bad idea. It's just, I believe we'll have one of the very few EMS stations in the state of Kansas that's sprinkled, but we can hang our hat on that.
Well, Matt, I'm quite sure when you're sitting there building projects and doing projects and things aren't lined out, things like this comes up, it definitely don't make the people spending the money happy.
Oh, sure, I can appreciate that, yeah.
And so, you know, we want to work with you. I just don't want anything pushed that's nobody else's. We're not doing it in all buildings in that city or in all buildings in this city, whichever one. So that's the only thing that, you know, that I would say, that as long as everybody's being treated the same, and then that's why I say I want to see the rule and see how it states that we fall under that, or whether that's somebody's suggestions or decision making. So,
Sure.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, we'll be happy to share all that stuff with you. It's not a problem at all. We're happy to show you kind of how we got to that
Okay.
decision, and we provided that over. I've tried to Travis talked with Ben, and I've provided that stuff to him, and we'll provide it to anybody who wants to look at it. So that's not a problem.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being around. Appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea when the crew's over
Sure, we
doing
can get a
that.
price.
Just give us an idea what this would cost.
Sure.
Well, how much more good news you got?
You know, I think I'll probably leave it at that. for now. I have a couple more items, but I think I'll maybe wait a little.
Okay.
Unless you guys have something for me, I'm happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns.
Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Oh,
Okay.
on a side note, just for the future, as we're talking, because we are talking some vacation time and stuff.
Yeah.
When they are on vacation or sick, that does not count towards overtime.
Right.
So,
Hours worked.
yeah, just so, I mean, that also plays into it, doesn't cost as much
Right.
for them to be on vacation.
For that month's pay period?
For that week's
So
pay
if they took
period.
72 hours.
For that
for the
week's
week,
pay period.
Yeah.
there'd be no overtime because
Overtime
hours
is work.
definition is hours worked.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
just another little piece there, and,
Right.
and I'll try and get something worked through with that in the next couple of weeks, and
Thanks.
I'm not slamming my fist down or anything crazy like that,
Yeah.
so. If anything, get a hold of me, happy to answer any questions.
All righty.
All right, thank you, guys.
Uh-huh. All right. Next up, emergency management, Randy Frank. Good afternoon, Randy.
Hello.
What you got on the agenda?
A few things. First of all, for you, this is the annual emergency preparedness grant application. For me to apply, I need your signature on it.
Okay, who's all looked at it? Just you so far?
Just me so far.
Okay.
And we'll go through the state and they'll put what they have to do with it.
Is this an annual or is this something?
We do this every year.
Every year?
Every year.
It's the
Every
same
year since I've
grant,
been here.
same grant you use for the radios,
No, I didn't use it for buying radios, no.
different.
Use it for training and exercises and stuff.
She needs a copy of
Yes.
it too.
Sure, make sure she gets a copy. Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing,
That's okay if the commission in it? I went in and signed.
I approve.
I didn't ask you for your vote, but,
I'll hold on to one of them since the attorney's not here. Let's see, here in spirit. This is what we've accomplished in the last quarter, third quarter. We completed the emergency operations plan. We have facilitated meetings with the sheriff's office, the county clerk, the road and bridge, to discuss their positions as primary people in the ESF's emergency support functions. We had others planned, but they called and said, no, can we reschedule? And we're in the process of rescheduling them, the other departments. So we'll get those accomplished. Once we get that done, then we'll start working on some other projects. We did place all the plans and the annexes on the website, as you asked. They're out there. September, can't remember who was in charge at that time. You guys signed the Preparedness Month, September for the Preparedness Month proclamation. We sent out media graphics, preparedness calendars to just every group we could think of in the county, even the local daycare centers and dentists and everybody. They all got it. And all of our department heads got it as well. We did the quarterly LEPC meeting, which is the local emergency planning committee or commission. That was originally designed as a tier 2 commission to deal with hazmats back in the day, back when they started this whole process. Now it becomes bigger and it involves a lot more than just hazmat issues. So with that in mind, in our last meeting, we decided we're going to review the handbook and the bylaws. We've got a committee together to do the bylaws. And we're going to review them. Hopefully we can bring them back for a November meeting so that the LEPC committee can review them and then vote on them. And once they get voted on, then bylaws come back here for the commissioners sign off over the commissioners and lead that month, January, February timeframe. We can't do it, then it'll be in the next quarter. We're doing more research on some of the tier 2 facilities. I'm trying to find out more information on them, that their forms that they submitted. We had some questions with, so we're going to ask them to clarify their questions so we know what they are. We're pushing all those out to all the fire departments. For some reason, the tier 2 facilities have been submitting them to the state and to me, but they haven't been submitting them to the fire departments like they're supposed to. So we're helping them to understand that's got to be done too. In the interim, we've taken everything I have, made copies, and we're sending them to the fire departments, so they're getting them. We established a non-congregate shelter with FEMA at the Tepws College. That is in place. It started working. I think our first report comes up on the 20th of this month to FEMA. School districts, we help them out with the new mask regulation for transportation. The federal government's, not through their health associations or anything else, but through the Department of Transportation, has mandated that everyone has to have a mask on when they ride a bus. And that created a big flurry with all the schools because in the last legislative session, the Department of Education became an entity of their own, basically, much like a commission. They became an entity of their own and got to make up their own rules and everything else. And then when the Department of Transportation says, that's fine, you can do what you want, but we own the vehicles. So they mandated you got to wear them on the buses. So we scurried around, helped the schools find masks, so all the kids could have masks. It did seem like it was going to be a big problem, and it wasn't, because many of the school students still had their masks left over from the year before, or whatever the schools gave them at that time. So it wasn't as big of an issue to take care of, but we helped them out with that. We did receive the ICS courses from one of the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you for that. We attended the annual KEMA conference. They didn't have it the year before because of COVID. They had it this year, and all the spacing and everything happened. As far as community outreach, we've been to both the Gospel and the Florence parades, participated in those. The Hillsborough Arts and Crafts Day. Several years ago, the city manager at the time and the police chief sent me a letter requesting that I come over and open EOC to help them operate in case there's an issue. We watch the weather and traffic issues and medical issues and things like that, like we do in the normal EOC. So we go over there for that. And then, of course, Father Capon. We were able to survive Father Capon. We made it through it. everybody got what they needed, and they did their special directions. And in the back portion, there's 6 pages there. I had my PIO create a little newsletter. There's 6 pages there that talk about different things that happened and what Marion County departments were doing to help out with this process. think that's on like page 5 or 6, something like that. And the fourth quarter, we're in the process right now of creating a questionnaire for all the department heads to fill out, so we can start moving forward on the COOP plans. The COOP plans is going to take a lot to put together, because there's a COOP plan for every department head, and then there's also 18 annexes that go with every COOP plan. And they're not all the same, because you have your line of authorities and everything else, they're different than, each department's different. So it's gonna take a little bit of time. We'll send out the document for them to fill out prior to us setting this a meeting to come in and sit down and start working with them on putting the plan together. And so we'll give them that. We'll be able to dump all that information in they give it to us, which will make the next meeting a whole lot simpler to get through that process. Again, we're looking at the goals. We'll continue looking at the goals and bylaws. We have our weekly emergency operations center from the state. We do the webinars every week. Again, we'll do the quarterly LEPC meeting and TEPW training and exercise planning workshop. It's how we plan for our exercises every year. This year, we were allowed to use Father Capeman as one of our exercises. So I'm writing that up as an exercise so we don't have to go out and put another together. So it was, as a major event that was going to happen in our county, we were allowed to do that. And then, of course, our meetings that we do every quarter, the LEPC, the mitigation planning team, KDM meetings, and only security meeting. We have one of those on Tuesday. In the back of your packet has some of the things that relate to all this stuff.
Back to Father Capeman, did you put out a press release on this same letter from Tiara Deer?
We did send a press release to both the newspapers here in town. Only in the county, not in town. Both newspapers in the county.
Okay. And that's part of your job?
It is, in this exercise it was. That's part of the exercise to do that. We do it with any event. If we have a real event, I do press releases.
Up here on the LEPC committee, I don't know do you have any commissioners on that committee?
If you look back, I believe they're all on there. They should all be on the list.
Okay, I used to be just a chairman, I think,
Well,
or vice chair, whichever.
Yeah, the chairman signs, but you should all be members of the committee.
Yeah, but I mean in the monthly meetings, or do you have a monthly meeting?
Quarterly.
Quarterly meetings,
Quarterly.
yeah. There used to be that, but I haven't seen nothing lately on it. That's why I'm asking that.
Yeah, next one's in November.
Okay. I didn't know whether we're a voting member anymore or whether we.
Sure.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And then established a non-congregate shelter with Tabor. What exactly does that mean?
As we talked about a few weeks ago when Deidre was in here, between congregate and non-congregate shelter. Congregate is family, non-congregate is non-family. Students,
Okay.
school students.
Yes, we did discuss that.
And that's what this is for. And this way, Tabor College can recoup some of their expenses through FEMA. And we had to be involved because they're not a government entity. And at the very beginning of COVID, whatever that was, we did that through this commission. We set that up with FEMA and started it. And then about a month later, FEMA says, no, we want to run it through KDM, the state. So we didn't have to do it. But then when the state lost their declaration, now we have to step in. And we already had it all in place.
And then on giving school districts masks for bus rides, is that what you did?
No, we didn't do that.
Okay.
The Department of Education received bundles of money, bundles of money. And we sent them back to the Department of Education, says, that's where you have to get your mask from. We can't provide them.
Okay.
During the beginning of this whole COVID thing, we did give the schools masks because there was no restrictions at that time. But once they became their own entity, then we stopped doing it.
Okay. Also met the CARES Act then. Any questions by any commission members?
You said something in here.
No, I said we also had the CARES Act then.
Yes, yes.
So we were able to give them funding.
Right.
It was just from here to there.
Okay. What else you got?
That's it, just getting ready for the next quarter and numerous holidays.
Okay.
Like you've been busy.
Yeah, I gotta finish working on the exercise because it's not done yet, We'll get that done this quarter.
I would like to say thank you to you and your team for your work at the Cape and Homecoming.
Thank you.
Well done. It was a very, very special day for the community, and it was just good to be prepared, just in case.
There were a couple of incidents that many people didn't know about, but they happened, and we were able to take care of them. And it went on as if nothing was going on. One of them was a fellow flying, I think it was a Cessna, flying nearby, and we had the drones up, and my air boss that I brought in, he calls him on the radio and said, hey, move a couple miles to the left or the right, and so that you're away, so we don't accidentally bump into one another. And he moved over, and so we took care of that issue too. He was a little low, but I think he was still within his range. But sometimes when you push a drone up, sometimes it goes higher and faster than you think it will.
Now, in aviation, a near miss is a mile apart.
That's true.
So
That's true. So that happened. You know, there was some issues with traffic, and we were able to quickly take care of that. You know, we passed that message along to the sheriff's department real quick, and they took care of it. And I felt so sorry for the fellows from Tampa that walked that last mile. Those guys looked like they were just pretty much whipped when they got in. but the Novak boys did good, and the rest of the game, they did good. So.
all right, I'll echo what Dave said. Good job. No news is good news.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't know what their total attendance was. Maybe it wasn't as much as what we thought, but yes, still being prepared is still ready for it. At least try. Whether you pass or succeed or fail, that's the decision afterwards. But at least you're trying to do something. So,
You always have to prepare for maximum,
yeah,
not minimum.
yeah, very true.
Better to be over prepared and not needed than under prepared and wish you had it.
I
A
think
little over 2,000 people there.
It's still a pretty good turnout.
That's quite good for a little 3-block area.
I just attended a balloon special down there in New Mexico, and their fly zone, they went back 4 miles around, all the way around that thing, 4
Yeah.
miles to the fly zone.
Well, we tried to get a no-fly zone, and they wouldn't give it to us. And
Yeah.
that's okay. We worked it the other way. We just talked to the people flying the airplanes.
That's a good traffic.
Well, there wasn't. I mean, because in this area, there's a normal comms frequency for about 6 airports around us, and they all got to be flying on those frequencies. So we just wanted to talk to them all.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Gonna get that copy. I think you signed it.
I'll make a copy.
All righty, Road Bridge. Mr. Bryce.
Still struggling.
We're gonna call them.
Okay.
I went to sleep.
Usually he's watching us.
Usually, I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen him today. Maybe he forgot today was commission meeting.
Could have.
Truck here.
You see
I
him?
don't see it.
Oh, our own truck? Oh, I bet he's not here.
I bet you.
I bet he's not.
Bet you since it's not Monday, he's out doing something.
He wasn't here this morning.
I just have to phone him in. For now.
See what he's got that he has to have, and if he's got anything that he needs to handle.
Call has been forwarded to an automated voice.
That was quick.
We won't call him. Oh, he will, second time.
He was probably trying to call me. I heard he's got both lines full. And then I was the third line, I got kicked.
Well, we can move on.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated
Come
voice
on,
messaging
we'll try him
system.
we'll try him a little bit later, if he calls back, why, we can see what he needs to be done or anything like that. I will, since Bryce is not here, we won't talk about that bridge down in South End down there. I'll get some more information on it. I've got a little bit on it, but I need more information on it. And it brings up, be thinking about permits for bridges out here in our rural area. You know, this particular person has both sides of the road. When the water comes up, the bridge won't handle it, and it goes over the road quite whenever the high water comes. And so he's wanting to want bigger culverts put in, and then build the road up. But that could pertain to going through a permit again instead of like up north, you know, obtaining a permit. So I want Bryce to explain obtaining a permit, what it's going to take and stuff like that. So
Bryce is homesick.
Bryce,
He won't be here.
Okay. All right. So we'll just have Bryce explain that and see what all we're going to have to do. If that's what I think it'd probably be a decision with Bryce and maybe us too. I don't know. I've had the landowner call me, but I said I want to go through. I think there's a total of 162 acres. No more than that. It's 1,600. So I've got it in my truck. It's quite a bit of acreage. Feeds it a lot of water. And the bridge is big enough now. The road's low. So he's just wanting to do something about it because he's going to build a new facility around there. So anyway, Bryce and I'll get some more information before we come to you, but I did want to talk about it, let you know that that's going on. Moving on. Board of County Commissioners for personnel discussion, executive session. Does anybody have know what kind of time frame we're going to need on this?
5 minutes.
Oh, this one's yours.
Oh.
Okay. We'll take care of you.
We got two of them.
Yeah, we got two of them.
I think the other,
10 minutes?
Or they're the same thing.
no, I think that one has to do with road and bridge.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. For personnel discussion? Is that what it's for?
Yeah.
Move we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B of personnel matters of non-elected personnel for 10 minutes. 1:42 to 1:52. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jonah was a second. I was a motion. And do you need deputy clerk here?
Not
Yes.
necessarily.
Okay.
She can take off.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions. We have one more executive session to go into with the deputy clerk for personnel matters. Okay, and that's 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Better make it 10, just to jump in and out of the technology. Or no?
I don't need very much time.
Okay.
Okay. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B of non-elected personnel for personnel matters. And for 5 minutes with the board and deputy clerk. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Kent Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I vote.
Go back to 2
This
o'clock.
conference is no.
Go ahead. And don't come back and tell me till secret.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, out of executive session, no decisions made. to public comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, public comments. If anybody put anything on the screen, please try it again for the public on the online. We thought we might have had a comment up there, but it might have got wiped off when we went into this last executive session. Give you some time to type it out and put it on there if you're still listening, still on there. Don't see nothing popping up yet. We'll move on here to commission comments, and then we'll try one more time to give you some time there to do that. Any commission comments? One I'd like to say is I'd like to thank my commission for carrying on last week while I took a vacation. Appreciate it. I'm back here and ready to go again, and so we'll move on with that comment. We'll just give this person a little more time. Had a good time, good vacation. Back to work now.
So next week's schedule, meeting is Thursday the 21st.
Yes.
At 9 o'clock work session, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
And regular meeting 12.
Thank you, Dave, for looking ahead.
Yes.
I'm just trying to clear up my own.
Yeah, well, he's gonna be gone, so we'll be down to the three of us, him and Dave.
Yeah.
We were gonna do it Wednesday, now we're doing it Thursday the 21st.
Yeah, regular meeting 9 a.m.
What?
on the 21st.
Yeah, well, it's a
Work session.
Work session, then the regular, I think.
Isn't it?
End of the agenda, work session, yeah, after the regular meeting at 9, and then at the end of the agenda, then we'll have a work session.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we had to do it 9 because of,
County council.
yeah, some sort of conflict. Yeah.
Okay, so regular meeting is at
Is it
9.
Yeah,
At
the
9,
work session
yes.
to follow
Okay.
up. And then the next meeting, it's a work session prior and the meeting
On
after.
Monday at 10:30, you have a work session.
That's
And
where I'm
public
all
comments
mixed
on
up.
12:30. Yes.
Okay, does it, Randy, one of them, does it say ARP work session?
No, either one does.
It just says work session.
Yeah, so.
I think Thursday one is the counselor work session, right?
The what?
Brad's long list.
Yeah, I think it says it on there.
Yeah, end of agenda, work session with county councilor, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah. But it don't give no subject there. And then the 10:30 one, what's the next one then?
I think the one on the 25th is the ARP
Okay.
rescue plan.
The rescue plan.
That's 10:30.
Have Tina confirm the schedule and give us a text so we know which work session's which. Yeah, because I tell you, I lost track after leaving the country. Definitely, got to get myself back on track here. You have any other business to finish? No comments from the public yet?
No.
Any other further discussion from the commission? I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
And Brad couldn't be on Tuesday, okay.